It was cut down in the NFL on Tuesday. Teams could then sign players that were cut to their practice squad as long as they passed through waivers, unsigned the next day. Here are 10 names that I was stunned were released. Number 1, Kadarius Toney of the Chiefs. The first one, of course, is Kadarius Toney. I know he was not good and dropped a lot of passes, but I thought the Chiefs would keep him for one more year. It's crazy to think he was a first-round pick and won 2 Super Bowls. Next up is Desmond Ridder. Ridder was the second quarterback taken in a really bad quarterback draft class. He was taken the 3rd round, 74th overall. He was the starter for the most part in 2023 and then saw a lot of action in 2022 as a rookie as well. However, the Falcons decided to move on and sign Kirk Cousins and draft Michael Penix. They traded him to the Cardinals where he was expected to be the starter under Kyler Murray. But that ended up not being the case and lost the backup job to Clayton Tune. Number 3 is Bailey Zappi of the Patriots. It was quite shocking to see him released. Zappi was battling a crowded quarterback room that included 2 rookies the Pats drafted this year. At the end of the day, the Patriots decided to move on from Zappi and rock with Jacoby Brissett, Drake May, and Joe Milton. Next, this one is not really surprising, but it was still interesting to see. The Jags traded for Mac Jones in the offseason, which at the time probably meant that CJ Beathard's days in Jacksonville were numbered. But he has some starting experience as he has started 32 games. Caleb Farley, a former first-round pick, was another one that was a bit surprising. Not many expected that he would be released just 3 years later. The Titans drafted Caleb Farley in the 1st round back in 2021. However, after only 3 years, the Titans decided to move on. Pretty shocking to see. The next guy up is Trace McSorley. The Commanders probably signed Trace McSorley more as competition, but it was still weird to see them release McSorley despite having a great game versus the Pats on their final preseason game on Sunday night. He threw for 218 yards and had 1 touchdown pass versus New England. Next up is the Packers releasing Anders Carlson. The Packers have kicker problems. They decided to cut Anders Carlson after a rough preseason. However, they cut him over Greg Joseph, who is also not great either and has struggled in the past, especially with the Vikings. Number 8 is Lewis Sin. This one might have been the most surprising of all. I know he's not a huge name, but Lewis Sin was a 1st-round pick just 2 years ago. However, he struggled and the Vikings decided to cut bait rather quickly. Number 9 is Terrace Marshall Jr. of the Panthers. Terrace Marshall Jr. was a 2nd-round pick back in 2021. He was great in college and was part of one of the best receiving rooms in college history with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. He was drafted by the Panthers in 2021 with the 59th pick. But after 3 underwhelming seasons with the Panthers, they decided to move on as well. It also did not help that he was drafted by a different coaching staff. And last but not least, Malik Cunningham of the Ravens. The last big name was Malik Cunningham. I know Cunningham is not the biggest name, but he had some good games with the Patriots last preseason. The Ravens picked him up last season, but had some good games with the Patriots last preseason. The Ravens picked him up last season in the middle of the year. They switched him from quarterback to receiver full-time before training camp. However, he did not spend a whole lot of time on the field, and the Ravens decided to release him and eventually sign him to their practice squad. Now that's 10 names that were released on cut day. Let me know in the comments what you think and who your Super Bowl prediction is.